We have a packed house tonight. We have news. We've got shows. But before we start, I want to ask everyone: do you have your snacks ready? Has everyone got their snacks within handy distance?
Yeah.
All right, we're ready to go. We can survive. My name is Kevin Joseph, and I am here with, as always, Will Allred. Will, how was your week, buddy?
Oh, hey, here's a long one. I've been looking forward to this. It's going to be some nice time to decompress and talk some comics.
Me too. I had a really rough week. I had to drive down to the Keys and sit there in the sunset and drink a little too much and eat way too much and sit in the pool. So I had a rough week too. I know how you feel.
Mine was not that tough, man. Not that tough.
Poor Kevin.
Hey, you know what? We all get 2 days and 1 night, and get to enjoy it. No, 3 days and 2 nights. So it was nice. I don't get to go too often, so I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it and brag. But we are not here to talk about my lazy ass week. We're here to talk about cool comics on Kickstarter. And I'm going to kind of start it off with everybody doing a 30-second pitch on their crowdfunding comic as if we were at a show. We get to do this because of Joey Galvez and the Geek Collective allows us to hang out on their stream. So we always appreciate it. I'm going to go across my screen. CK, can you tell us a little bit about Scott Snyder Presents Tales from the Cloakroom?
Sure. So I'm one of the co-editors on Tales from the Cloakroom. We have 1 more week to go. Our anthology is a multi-genre anthology, 120 pages, 20 different writers who met in Scott Snyder's writing Substack course. And over 50% of our contributors are from marginalized communities, which we really wanted to emphasize.
Very nice. All right. So who is doing it for head cases? Who wants to take lead on the pitch? If you were at a convention, who's the big voice? Leslie or AJ?
I can go for it. I've pretty much distilled it down to head cases is Pulp Fiction meets Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a story about 2 kids who on a whim decide to steal a bag, and unfortunately for them, the bag is that of a hitman's, and inside the bag is a decapitated head. So things get started really quickly in the first 6 pages. That's head cases for you.
Nice. Okay, is it going to be Pat or Shand who talks about Cheeky?
That sounds good. That story. That's really cool. Cheeky is 4 adult stories that overlap in exciting, emotional, and comedic ways. It is a graphic novel about sex that is done like it's kind of like Crash, but with sex.
Nice. Very nice. And finally, we got Richard Rivera, Stabbity Bunny. But before we go, there's a little congratulations. I hear you took on a little responsibility at Scout Comics this week.
Yeah, a little more. I have been the publisher of the Scoot line for about 2 years now, and I was honored to be tapped by Scout to become co-publisher to work right alongside with Charlie Stickney there.
That guy.
That guy.
That guy comes up every once in a while on this
Yeah.
show. But congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
I hope you can herd the cats as well as you can write a comic book. But we're here to talk about that comic book. So how would you get somebody interested in Stabbity Bunny at a convention?
Well, first, this is Scout Comics' first official Kickstarter. It's featuring Stabbity Bunny Volumes 1 and 2. That has been a very, very long time coming, and we really appreciate those people that have been with us from the beginning when we first were Kickstarter 7 years ago. But Stabbity Bunny, if you want to think Supernatural meets Taken, but with 3 female leads, all different generations of one family, a little 7-year-old girl, her mom, and her grandmother. Basically, a supernatural force has been terrorizing their family for generations. And as it turns out, the plush bunny that's handed down each generation to the next child is more of a talisman or a protector. Spoiler alert: Stabbity Bunny cannot move and does not stab a thing. But you will wish that he had. We did do just to we did spin off into a Stabity Ever After where he can move. It's an alternate reality to my own stuff because so many people, you'd get that look like Stabity Bunny, yeah, and then you'd say, and it'd be like, oh, okay, but no, really, it's been fun. I want to shout out to Dwayne Biddix and Liesl Buenaventura and James Reed, who have been with the book the entire time, as well as Wayne Hall. I think a lot of you probably have either
Wayne's
met
the
or talked to
best.
Wayne Hall. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Wayne is the king. He's the person that I want to be doing these podcasts. Not as smart or as personable or friendly or likable, but other than that, I'm coming for you, Wayne.
Well, he's in this same house. I tried to get him to jump on there, but I think he had an interview thing he had to do himself. So
well, you tell him I said hi, and I'm coming for him.
I will.
Well, you know what? We are. Let's go back around the bend because we didn't get to do a preamble for you, so I don't want to throw you to the wolves on this one. Actually, but I did forget. Will Allred, you are still running your campaign for Crossover Division. So even though you're not going to get a deep dive tonight, you do get to do your 30-second pitch, so people remember that Crossover Division is a comic they can back.
All right. Fictional realities are invading our world, and only an English professor and a research librarian can save us from an unhappy ending. It's a lot of fun playing with some Shakespeare.
Very nice, very nice. But you're very, very touchy about which play we're playing with. So I can't wait to get this issue and find out if we're in comedies or tragedy land. So
I may have bad news for you.
So they don't all get married at the end, I'm guessing. CK, let's start with Tales from the Cloakroom. If you could share the screen of your campaign, and then you can run us through what you'd like to show us. How did you get into the writing classroom as you're picking that up?
Okay, so first off, I'm a horrible multitasker. So can you see it now?
I can. You're golden.
So I have like 2 dogs trying to get my attention, and you all, and the screen share thing. So hopefully I don't mess this up. So did you ask how I got involved? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So this is a writing thing with Scott Snyder. So how did you hear about it, and what do you do in this writing class so that we can get people,
Sure.
caught up on the entire entity?
Sure. So this whole thing started when a bunch of the comics creators kind of migrated over to Substack, and one of the things in the press that got my attention was that Scott Snyder was doing an actual writing class, and that drew my attention in. And then I'd say last fall we decided. Joji Schuster came up with the idea of, hey, what if a bunch of us got together and did like an anthology? And then he realized he might not yet have all the skills needed, so he started to bring on a couple of other people that became editors. Ben O'Grady then announced it to the Discord server. So there's a writing course that Scott holds monthly, and in addition to that, there's a Discord server that has like 1,000 plus people in it. And at that time, I was new to Discord because I'm horrible with technology, and so I was able to read like every single thing that was getting posted. And Ben O'Grady made a comment that, hey, we're looking for people who want to write stories for this collection. And so we set up a separate Discord, and I came on as a writer. Arby Lynn Jepson was the third editor brought on. She started as a story consultant, said that that's what she wanted to do, and then realized it was a great opportunity for her to use the other skills that she's developed. Um, she's probably the most knowledgeable of the 4 co-editors, to be honest. But she's been amazing to this whole thing. We couldn't have done it without her for sure. And mad respect for her. And I'll bring her up at every chance I get, probably because I owe a lot of my skills that I've developed to her. So then I was the final co-editor that came on, started as a writer, and then migrated over into the editing position. And if anybody is on the fence about joining Scott's class, I highly recommend it. It's a good writers community, and you pay $7 a month and get access to the entire backlog of classes, which is a year's worth of classes now. The last class wraps up mid-July. So.
Oh, very nice.
Cool. And so that's how it all came about. And several of us, half of the writers in the collection are brand new. They've never had a story published. They just maybe written prose and been published that way or not published at all. And the other half are emerging creators in the indie community. And like I said before, it was really important to us that it no offense to everyone here, but we just wanted to make sure it wasn't just a bunch of white straight men. So we made sure that our editorial team reflected that, and also that our creators, reflected the real world. So
Right.
and then so we have some great art. I'm a horrible at multitasking. I keep just like scrolling up and down, back and forth. But we have some great art prints. We have, as you can see, Rob Jones, who is a lettering fiend. He created our trade dress. He also created these various stickers. We didn't want to give anybody restrictions on the stories they could tell. We just said, hey, it has to be 6 pages or fewer. And so what ended up developing is we thought it would be a good homage to Scott Snyder, whose studio is called Best Jacket Press Studio. And so every story has to deal with a jacket, whether it be the central focus, like it is in my story, or which is about kind of how I'm sure we've all experienced it, but how smells of loved ones will stay on pieces of clothing, and we kind of hold on to that clothing to hold on to that person. And so it could be like that, or it could just be, hey, here's a cosmic horror tale set in the Antarctic, and oh, by the way, they all happen to wear jackets because it's freezing cold. So it can be anywhere from like an Easter egg to the main plot. So we've got stickers for it. We got a bookmark. There's my doggy Bandit who plays into my story. And then we were lucky to have some really great artists. Sebastian Priest with Rewrite Titans did a print for us that you can see on the screen right now.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, he
color
nailed
on
it.
that.
And we wanted to give the artist the same freedom. We just went to Sebastian and said, this is the idea. We don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into like a cover. I mean, like a piece of art that is too genre specific. And so what comes to mind when you think of a jacket? And he came up with this idea, and Joji Shuster fed off of it with the I guess this is an homage to like an 80s movie whose name is I'm forgetting. Does it say anything?
Say anything?
Yeah, that's it. And then Skylar Patridge did the main cover.
Is everybody going to sing the Peter Gabriel song together?
Yeah.
I've never even seen the movie. I was just like, oh, that's a reference. Okay, cool. I didn't know it was a movie at all. But Skylar Patridge has the main cover, best known for Resonant, but is now quite famous for Trial of the Amazons and Artemis Wanted out at DC. And then Jesse Lonergan did the variant cover, which again, we just went to them and said, what do you think of when you think of a jacket? And Jesse decided he thought of,
Fish.
a sci-fi world in a fish jacket. So whatever works for you.
No, it's very clever. I don't know how he got to it, but very clever.
Yeah, and he's Eisner nominated. We were really lucky there, and we were lucky with all 3 of those fabulous artists. And we also have a really cool reward tier where Scott has decided to sign 50 copies for people who want to buy them. And so that's a pretty big steal if you can't afford to get to a con and stuff like that to get him to sign stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I can think of offhand. If you visit the page, you can see a short synopsis of each story and, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like I'm rambling, so I'll just let y'all ask me stuff.
How many stories are in there? You said there were 6 pages, right?
Yeah, well, up to 6 pages. So there's 19 stories now. We had to drop one there. So it says 20, and I need to change that. But it's 19 stories, and it's about 116 pages if you count like all of the pages that we're going to have to put in to make sure, every story starts on the right-hand side and stuff like that. And we did get this out to about, a dozen indie creators and asked them for pull quotes. So, you might see some of your favorite indie creators on here giving us some praise after reading the rough proof. So we've now hit our second stretch goal, but honestly, that's just now breaking even, which I'd love to hear more about from y'all about this issue of crowdfunding and how to price your stuff to, you know, make sure you hit funding goals, but also make
for
back all your
everything.
costs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the first thing what you want to do is at least get 303 backers and $12,000. That's always a nice place to be with 7 days to go. So you've definitely done something right. What is the thought on putting your goals? Is it put the lowest amount you can possibly make the book and then go for huge amounts over, or do you try to make a profit with your goal? What is everybody's thought on that?
Man, my goal is never higher or even equal to what the book costs. You know, I tend to do. I tend to put a number that I know will be funded and will help make the book. So I, you know, it's different for everyone, but I always went into this, even at the very beginning, with the intention that when I start doing Kickstarter, I'm always going to be doing multiple campaigns. I'm going to make this an integral part of what I do. So my idea was always that one campaign, no matter what it makes, doesn't always have to go toward that one book. It goes toward the overall vision. So I put in the number that I know will fund and that I know will help me continue to do this. But no, I mean, I've had campaigns that have hit around or near the goal, and I needed to put in some of my own funds. And I've had campaigns that have gone way over, so I can then use those funds to sort of spread out and help other campaigns that don't do as well.
Richard, it's been you've taken a break from Kickstarter. Has your thought process changed from when you did Stabby Bunny issue #1 to this big volume?
Yes, it would have to have. I mean, when when we put together the first book and Dwayne and I put out the Kickstarter, Dwayne has some experience, but that was I was not part of any community. I didn't know anything. So basically we're like, the very first show we went to was Heroes in 2015. And I just showed up with a book with 3 covers, but I wanted to have more on my table. So I also had like 15 homage posters. I had a standee with Grace giving you child rabbit ears. I had T-shirts. I started with a lot of stuff, but the people right next to us, Color World, he had just he just finished a Kickstarter and just done incredibly well. He's like, "You got to do Kickstarter. That's what you got to do." And so I'm like, "Okay, I'll try." And then yeah, we did well the first time. The next time we were a little more savvy, incrementally a little more savvy. But since then, I've worked with a lot of people who have done very well. You know that right now, I think yesterday, David Byrne launched his latest Jessame, part of the spinoff from Stake. Joel Rodriguez also, with that same team, but also Scout. He's got his Dust County Chronicles going. Charlie is going to do a White Ash. It launches Monday, so be ready. I'm sure you got it marked on your calendar already. But,
I'm going through my couch trying to find quarters to pay for it. Yeah, he has too many nice covers.
And too many nice. I mean, his coins, all his swag. I mean, so many great things. But yeah, we. I'm going to tell you the goal with this Kickstarter is more along the lines of trying to fund a nice print run, so that we got Simon & Schuster distribution, et cetera. We want to be able to that was our goal. As far as the book, I mean, that's something that as far as the funds that I've put into it, that actually sadly has been like over 3 years. So that very last one, about 2.5 years, we had hospitalizations, and like I said in my one little blurb there, and yes, even a volcano. Our colorist went through a volcano and in the Philippines, and we just had a lot. But the team stuck together, and we weren't going to go on without everybody. So we have the same original team.
So Leslie, you're doing crowdfunder as opposed to Kickstarter this time. Did that change any of your math deciding on your funding goal?
It did. using crowdfunder lowered the overall cost a little bit. The way crowdfunder works, the shipping cost is separate than the overall goal, so it lowers it a little bit. It definitely is lower than it would have been if you're on Kickstarter, so that definitely helps since we're on a new platform. Using a new platform, obviously it's going to be kind of harder to convert people to something brand new, so it definitely helps. I think that the overall goal is lower than it would have been for sure.
That's interesting. We're going to get into a lot more of that.
Oh yeah.
To me, CK, I wish I was brave. I wish I was courageous. I wish I would I think I can maybe make this amount, so I'll put that as my goal. But I'm more on the, and I'm not saying Pat Shan's a coward, but I'm saying I'm a coward, and I have the same answer as Pat Shan. I want my goals to be almost as low as I can possibly make the book.
Yeah.
And then hopefully make the book nicer as the campaign goes on till eventually I get the book that I always really wanted. We bring up Tyler James all the time, but that minimum lovable project, that thing where if you get no less than $1 more than it, you'll still love it.
Yeah.
That's where I start. And then I try to add all the cool little enhancements after the fact.
Yeah, that was our thought, because none of the 4 editors has ever done a Kickstarter, and with half of the writers never. I mean, I was shocked because, well, I shouldn't say shocked because I was the same way. I didn't even have a Twitter account until this writing class started, because I was like, oh, okay, I have to have actual social media, and I can't live like a hermit anymore if I want to meet people in the indie world. And so with half of the team, half of the writers community being like that, in the out of the 20 writers, we were like, well, we can't set it too high because we hardly have any social capital. And so, I got on Twitter begrudgingly, in November or October, and it was like, okay, let's start building this up. And now I love it. And I'm like, oh, I get to meet all these indie creators and promote all their projects, and it's so cool. But we were all worried about that too. So we set it low and just ate a bunch of costs up front. And so there I am. I'm the one crunching all the numbers on a daily basis. And there I am just praying for us to hit the 12K mark. So I'm be like, yes, I can, finally afford food again. And so so thankfully we've crossed the not being broke barrier. So that's nice.
AJ, can you hand CK a snack from just on my screen? He's up and to the left.
Yeah, what's that way? Yeah.
CK, I want to ask though, what's the editing process been like for you? And did you have previous editing experience?
So Aubrey Lynn Jepson is the one who did pop in and say something. I saw her name pop up. I did ask if she wanted to join us tonight. Unfortunately, her fridge crashed on her, so she was unable to. She's the one who came in with the most editorial experience by far. She's actually been trying to break into the comics industry for about 10 years now, and has taken a lot of classes. So she had all these skills built up, which is another reason she went from oh, I'm fine with being a story consultant, to, oh no, let's just go full on here. And she loved the community, and she was like, yeah, let's do this. And so she's gotten to use a lot of those skills that she's developed over a decade. For me, it's my first foray into editing. I kind of was so mesmerized by Aubrey's skills that I was just like, please take me under your wing, teach me. And she's really helped me out. And it's been nice because we actually have complementary skills. Like, I'm a spreadsheet hound, and I will do and crunch numbers and create formulas all day long. And she was like, cool, yeah, you go do that. And I'm going to make really beautiful graphic design work. And I'm like, cool, I can't do that. Go for it. And it's been really nice. So she's the one who came in with the most experience. I have some editorial experience, but not in comics. So I feel like it's a totally different, experience. But what we did is, back in October, everyone's scripts were due. We did not have a pitch submission, which I wish in retrospect we would have. A pitch submission process. But what we did was, first we went through all the peer reviews. So we divided everybody into little groups, and they reviewed each other so that they could learn, because we did want to embrace that side of this whole point, is that Scott Snyder's trying to teach us stuff. Why don't we in turn teach what we can to each other? And then Aubrey and I did a very intensive script review process. I think we spent 120 hours total script reviewing, which is way more than anybody should get. But again, if you wanted in the collection, we really wanted to try to make it work for you and make it happen. But we had to keep that quality up.
Yeah.
And then from there, Aubrey taught me how to, when the art would come in, how to check copy save.
Aubrey, by the way, has chimed in. All that math makes me so tired. So very happy to hear that you were able to do that for you. And I'm going to interrupt because Blake did mention, yes, Microsoft Excel has an extraordinarily large presence on the show for some reason that I still don't understand. But we have gotten
talk about me and Phil, man.
Yeah, the Phil Falco Award has been awarded to CK for bringing up Excel sheets.
Well, I'm a Google Sheets person myself.
Them's fighting words. We're gonna have to get you and Phil on and have a straight up fight.
Spreadsheet off, huh?
Yeah, a spreadsheet off.
But hey, Blake, a bunch of our creators were just on Blake's Buzz this week, and I was sitting there chatting the whole time, drunk. But yeah, so and then from then on, it was just me learning. To be honest, Lizzie, it was like let's learn how to do copy check, like make sure in the copy safe area and checking the art for trim check and all that. Researched how to build the Kickstarter myself and what to do there and everything. Did all of the research for shipping materials myself and all the spreadsheets and all that myself. And then, Aubrey and I, we've been at it a while, so we're a little tired at this point. I don't know if you can sense it, but I'm kind of delirious.
Yeah, that last week you have
to,
you have to create your own energy in the last week. A Facebook user says Excel is indispensable. That is probably Bill Gates. He watches every once in a while.
Hey, Bill.
Quick question for you, AJ. I mean, we've all kind of chimed in about our crowdfunding, where to set the limits. Is this the first crowdfunder that you've run, or have you done some on your own that's not part of a team?
Yeah, I've done a Kickstarter. I think it was I finished it around late April, if I'm not mistaken. It was for a one shot. It was a double feature horror comic that basically was already all done. Like the artist whose name is Ethan Louis did an incredible job. So we already had the comic. We just wanted to also release it, and we decided to go and just release it digitally because we're both not from the United States. So like shipping not from the United States to the United States is a whole different problem. So we decided to do it digitally, and we wanted to basically just set a goal where I would the money would go to the artist and get him paid, because he did really work really hard on it. So it was just about getting him paid basically for his artwork.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'd like Leslie and AJ, if y'all could tackle this question at some point, but I might be jumping the gun. I'd love to hear what the experience is like co-writing, because a couple of people in our little writers community coming out of the anthology, we made a lot of connections in, and a couple of them are starting to co-write, and I'd love to hear about that experience versus solo writing. But I don't want to jump the gun or anything.
No, that's great. Why don't we pivot to head cases with that as kind of your lead in, and if one of you could share the page, I'll put it up. And I'm going to turn off my camera, and I'm going to do something I talked about in the preamble, but I'm not going to tell anybody watching what it is, in case it's an experiment. I could catch fire, and I don't want my last moments to be shown, just heard as I scream.
You got it, AJ, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I think so.
You got
Let me
it.
know
Okay.
if I got it correctly. All right. Does this work?
That I think will work.
Oh,
yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
See it.
Take this out of the way. Oh, never mind. Okay. So yeah, this is our campaign. Right now we're in 33%, 14 days left. Actually, for those of you who don't know, Crowdfunder is like a crowdfunding platform that just launched on the day that we basically launched the campaign with them. We were like one of their Encore launch partners that they chose to go with, that we were really lucky to be chosen. And it's about, as Leslie said, it's about the two teens in New York City that decide to steal a stranger's bag on the subway, and then they realize that they got themselves into way too much than what they thought they would, when they realized that there is a decapitated head inside, and it belonged to a hitman. And then the story really gets wild from there. Leslie, also, if I'm missing anything, feel free to chime in. So yeah, we have our rewards are basically really straightforward. We have the digital reward for $6, and then we have the physical. We did also have Grim Wilkins of Image fame a little bit. Did a variant cover for us, a very beautiful cover that, again, we were stunned to see. And for those of you who are familiar with Brooklyn Dreams, that cover was inspired by it. And then we also have the digital bundle that's full of PDFs of stuff that we've worked on before, and also some friends chimed in, like Doug Wood and Mark Pate. They both like helped us and gave us their one-shots to use. And then we have the pitch and script review with me and Leslie. And the last one that is there's only one spot available is the Get Drawn Into the Comic, which Paulo Sampaio, the artist, is doing right now. We can't really talk about any of the things that unfortunately that is doing, but he's a wonderful artist that like getting drawn by him, I think, would be a treat, honestly. And yeah, and if you like crime comics and you like backing indie comics like ours, then I would totally recommend it. Also, here you can see the comp titles. Oh, I see Kevin Joseph contributed. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Hey, a quick question for you. So the two of you co-write this book, so we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But the rest of your team, I think you mentioned the artist, but your letterer and your colorist.
Yeah. So the colorist is Warnia Kesa Adewa. She colored Dryfoot for Mad Cave Studios. She worked with Lionforge and a lot of other publishers. And the letterer is the wonderful Micah Myris, that is really like done a lot of great work with other publishers also. And yeah, it's been we've been really lucky to get this team together, because in the beginning, it's always crazy, and I feel like everyone can relate here. It's always crazy to think about, especially writers, when you just come up with an idea, and then you're like, this might be cool to just work on it and see where it goes. And then you add another team member, which is the artist, and then you add the colorist and the letterer, and everything just becomes real. And you're like, it's always crazy to go back to that moment. So,
okay, I am going to break in. We have an exclusive. It takes 2 minutes to pledge on Crowdfunder. 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That is not bad at all. That is with full credit card going through, picking. The only thing that I did to make it quicker is I was already on the head cases page, but it took me 2 minutes to back this campaign.
And we saw it on the page there.
Yeah.
It prompted, it said Kevin Joseph.
That's a good promotional tool right there. I'm sorry, using that. It only takes 2 minutes.
Full disclosure, I wasn't sure, so I didn't say what I was going to be doing in case I was back there for 23 minutes.
I had no clue. Yeah, it's
I don't know if
surprised
it's a
us
good
too.
idea.
That was impressive.
Well,
now,
all
I
right.
don't know what you guys said during that 2 minutes, so I apologize if I make you double up. But
No, all good.
All good.
So CK mentioned earlier, kind of interested in the co-writing thing, and I am too. I mean, I'm particularly, I write on my own, although I have worked with a certain crazy writer, which I really enjoyed. talk about that later. But what was it like with you guys working together?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I feel like this is only actually my second co-writing experience, so I might be biased in saying this, but I feel like every experience is probably different. This one's definitely different than my last experience. So the way me and AJ handled it was that I wrote this first issue, and AJ kind of served as like the peer editor. So once I wrote everything out, AJ kind of went through the lines and made sure things were staying on track with our outline, and they kind of fit the voice that we were going for. And from there, we would kind of take another path together. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. Obviously, you always have that back and forth pushback, which we definitely had in deciding what elements we wanted to stay in and what we thought was important and integral to the story. It was just a lot of back and forth and just interesting seeing what mattered. And I think we focused, I think, especially on that tone. It was really important to us finding the right tone for this. And it's a dark humor, and we really wanted like a fast-paced story where that doesn't get bogged down too much. Like we really just wanted to go with the story, and I think you feel that in the pages that we came up with.
That
How did
sounds
you
so
guys
much more
navigate-
organized than us, Kevin.
A little bit. How did you navigate when you guys were with, if one person thought you should make a right turn and the other thought it should be a left turn? How did you navigate those moments?
Oh, that's a good question. I need to think about it for a minute.
I mean, I think really we'd kind of maybe, I mean, I'm trying to backtrack and remember here, but I feel like we either do like a kind of, not necessarily like a pros and cons, but really just kind of weigh things out. Like, oh, like, can you back up what you're feeling? This is really what it came down to. Like, can you back up? Can you defend like your choices? And, if maybe someone maybe had like a little bit less to say, and like, maybe that one makes a little bit more sense. Or sometimes, I'd start feeling strongly about something in the beginning, and all of a sudden by the end of the conversation, AJ would convince me, oh no, that makes me more sense, dude. Like, let's go with what you're thinking, So it honestly, it really depended on the scene or situation. We really had to be fluid, and definitely, I think that's the most important part of co-writing, is not being rigid. And honestly, with any comic collaboration, it's like you learn that really quickly as someone working in comics, is you can't just like, I know everything, I'm good,
Well, I know, Pat, you work with your wife on a lot of the projects. How do you two navigate it when you're co-writing something?
Oh, it's I've done a lot of co-writing too with different creators, and every experience is different. I've done in the past with Raven Gregory, where we'll take a script and we'll break down scene by scene how to do it and who takes which scenes. That's how I did it with Vita Ayala too. But with my wife, it's a lot different. We'll talk out the whole issue and kind of come to an understanding just by conversation. And then I will go in and I'll break what we talked about down into a sort of what happens on each page. And then I'll print that physically, give it to her. She'll physically write dialogue on that. And then I'll take her physical dialogue and I'll build that into a panelized script and then do my half of the dialogue. So that's very unique to us. But
interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Kevin and I think said this a lot. The more robust and healthy crowdfunding opportunities we have as indie creators is better, for the entire, for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So, you moving over to crowdfunder for this one, I'm curious what your experience has been like, because I know Kickstarter brings a tremendous amount of potential eyeballs, because Kickstarter is Kickstarter, and but they're definitely not perfect. And I'm curious to see what the crowdfunder experience is like.
It's been interesting. There's definitely been some, swimming upstream because, we don't have that built-in audience that Kickstarter has. So we're having to, inform people about the campaign and also have them convert. I mean, luckily we saw with Kevin, it's really quickly, but still, like, it can be hard to get someone to sign up for something new. There's always a
Mhm.
little bit resistance there. So that has been definitely the biggest part of our challenge, because usually when people hear the story, like, wow, that sounds cool, but like, to just get someone to sign up for something new is tough.
Mhm.
But when people hop on, like the site itself is really nicely done, and it's simple, I think effective. We were just interested in finding like an alternative. Like you said, it helps when the options that we have are more robust. So we
Right.
want to kind of kick the tires on something different. And crowdfunder isn't all too different from Kickstarter, but it does have some nice differences that the creators might like. One of them is that you can either run a campaign that's an all or nothing like Kickstarter, or you can do the all or nothing method. So that might be nice for like people that are artist writers or something like that. Another difference is that so obviously all crowdfunding platforms have their credit card fees and the platform fees. And so with Crowdfunder, they have like a 3-tiered thing where basically the first tier, you don't pay any platform fee whatsoever. The second tier, you can kind of defer the cost to your backers if they so choose. And the third one is exactly the same as Kickstarter. You just pay that 5% or whatever. So that's another, difference between them and Kickstarter.
Well, let's
then-
let's
okay, go
get
ahead.
very specific. Okay, so
Yeah.
I did the $10 issue, which is
Mhm.
a very normal crowdfunding comic price for a single issue. $10 is not expensive. It's not cheap. It's very. I'm very comfortable with 10
Mhm.
on my own thing. Not
Right.
to get into pricing, but so $10 for the book. It was
Mhm.
$5 for shipping, and
Mhm.
there was a $2 fee to the one which I chose. So.
Okay.
Am I to read this correctly that $10 went into your funding that everybody sees?
Mhm.
$5 is shipping held separately so you can get me my book.
Mhm.
And then $2 goes straight to crowdfunder, and you won't get will you get the full $15 that I put, or do they get a small percentage of that?
So that would depend on the tier that we did. So we did the free tier. So I guess you were basically contributing or basically donating to crowdfunder in that instance. So yeah, if we had done that middle tier, then that would have kind of helped. I think it still does bring down our what do you call it? Our platform fees, but I
Okay.
think that middle tier is more directly contributes lowering it.
Okay. All right. I thought that was interesting when I went through it, so I wanted to at least bring it
Yeah.
up.
Well, I mean, it looks really clean and
That's
and slick. I mean, just looking, I'm assuming we're seeing the creator interface here from AJ,
You are,
right?
Yeah.
It does look really cool. Definitely something to look at for the future.
I know
Yeah.
Zoop is trying very hard to get word out on projects. Is crowdfunder? Do they have anything working for you, or is it really you pulling the boat upstream?
There's been some stuff there. Jaslyn Stone, who is just known in comic marketing circles in general, has been pushing stuff, and crowdfunder has their own marketing team that has been retweeting stuff and getting some things out there. So they've definitely been helping.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Well, I mean, it's courageous, and I'm glad you did it. And thank you for coming on and telling us
Thanks.
about
Yeah.
it.
Fingers crossed we're not just courageous, but
Courageous and successful.
Yeah, fingers
exactly.
crossed.
Yeah.
it looks good. The pictures that are next to the tier,
Mhm.
that's a good touch.
Mhm.
Yeah. That I feel like they definitely push a lot more of those visual elements. I think there's an option you can do it with or without, but for sure, I think that visual element helps to sell the product better for sure.
No,
Yeah,
I saw this comment quite a while back. Shawnee did say that we've got to censor the cat butt.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
appreciate
what,
that.
what I wanted to tell Shawnee is this is a not safe for work episode of Explain Yourself. There will be no censoring of anything buddy or cheeky because we've got to get into cheeky. So Pat, if you could share your page, let's look at your newest venture.
I will do that. And I will say too, you won't, I mean, my cat was here for a while. You wouldn't believe what he was trying to do. He nurses on his own leg as if it's a teat. and the sound that comes out. The whole time I was like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Gotta record that one day. Oh my god! I can only imagine
Weird.
what it sounds like.
Let's see. How can I do it? Chrome tab. I think this is it. I think here we go, right?
I think so.
As if by magic.
Can you see it?
And bam,
There we go.
There you go.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. This is cheeky. This is a collection of 4 adult comics that stand alone and tell stories about sex that come together and overlap in exciting ways. Co-written by myself and my wife, Amy. We did Thirsty, which is a book in the same, the same mode with 4 stories that overlap. And that was funded about a year and a half ago. And due to port delays, we actually just got the book last month, and we delivered it super fast. And in that was an ad for Cheeky, which is why I think that this is doing so well. This is my biggest campaign by far. I'm looking at this number. I still can't believe it. It is much higher than anything that I've done. So that's fun. This right here is an add-on only cover by Lyrics. Lyrics is a cover artist that I've been noticing doing covers for Dynamite. He is a talented guy, and this is our unlock cover from Stretch Goals. We I think we hit 40 or 30,000 to unlock that, so you can add that on, and that is $30 to the campaign. But the main cover is down here. This is by Romina Morinelli, and it's done the same way as our Thirsty cover, which you'll see below. We have the pitches for the stories here. The very short on the stories. There's one about a couple that they get this device where when each person touches it, it reacts to their touch and makes music. So they begin to make music together. There's one about a fanfic writer who meets a girl at a beach and falls in love with her. There is a story about, funny enough, a cat who witnesses an act of his owners on their bed, and through that he imagines a battle between Vikings. So for each beat of the battle, we see what's actually going on. Like they the Vikings stab with the sword, the couple comes through with a big dildo, and then we have all the stories come together in a booty contest that is drawn by Jen St. Ange, who is the artist of Kickstarter hits like Bingo Love. She did very different vibe. She does Nancy Drew as well. So here's me holding a Pokeball in Poom Poom shorts. Here's my wife wearing Jeffrey Dahmer glasses, censored with some Jeffrey Dahmer on her own body. So here we have a bit of a cheeky, thirsty, so you can see the vibe. And Thirsty, the stories do stand alone and then in the end come together, but we also have some characters from Thirsty that people enjoyed coming over to appear in Cheeky as well. We scroll down. This is our variant cover by Jen St. Ange. We're doing just in general. I also do Destiny New York, Smoke Weed See the Future. She's doing covers for every campaign that I'm doing this year, and this is her Cheeky cover. This is it ties into the butt measuring contest. So you see this gentleman and this lady are competing. She's clearly going to beat him there. Yeah, these are our Jen St. Ange covers. That was for Prison Witch 3. This is for Cheeky, and she's going to contribute 4 more. And then here we have some interior art. This is also Jen. Jen, I was actually just talking to a friend about how amazing Jen's art is. She has this vibe where it's cartoony, but also realistic and dreamy. It's just really, really cool and fun. And she added a lot of herself and her own ideas to this interior.
It reminds me a little bit of the old Playboy cartoon style. It's definitely not exactly like it, but reminiscent to me.
Yeah, she's awesome. That's for her story about the butt contest. Here's Crescendo Touch by Eliza Di Virgilio. You can see the music being made here, and some censored action going on there. This is not actually a sunflower. It's a rose. Here is Beach Girl by Joe Picar. And actually, I will say here before we go beyond this, This story is expanded due to the stretch goals. We were able to take this from, I believe, an 8-page story, and now it has a sequel that we're going to add to the book by Chiara Colasante, where we follow this. What was that? I get to you guys.
I just got really excited about the
dude.
extra story.
Yeah, we follow this character who meets her new girlfriend. In this story, the follow up kind of follows their long distance courtship there. And here is the story about the Vikings and the cat in the actuality, called The Witness. And then we have a bit on Thirsty, which is also available through the campaign. Follow me on TikTok. Some screenshots from Thirsty. This is some more Jensen Anjard and just beautiful art from the book. It's stories about sex that take the shame out of sex. And also, I think that a major reason that we're seeing so much success is that when readers see a comic about sex, a lot of them just go, okay, that's enough. We are cool with it just having sex. But with Thirsty and Cheeky, we don't want it to be a setup that leads to sex. We want it to be stories about sex that are as emotional and humorous and dramatic and say as much as any old story. We have some merch here, Connor Hughes of White Ash.
There you go.
We have a pin here. This is by Angela Odling. You can only get this though if you're certified. This is for the certified cheeked up. I personally can't wear this one myself because of my backdoor situation.
You got no acetol?
No, I do not. I have if you've ever seen King of the Hill, there's one episode where Hank Hill's ass shows.
Yes,
It's like
amazing.
a small lowercase W. I got Hank Hill action going. This is our book plate by Jensen Anj as well. She's all over the campaign. We have a bunch of rewards just kind of spelled out here. We have one tier that has everything. This does not have the add-on cover though. That is going to be add-on only. And then if you are a digital reader, you can get everything that we've done, which is 21 graphic novels for $101, which is huge discount there. Some add-on
because they're graphic novels too. They're not 21 issues. They're 21 graphic novels. Because
Yeah,
Destiny in New York, what do you have? About 6 to 7 issues in a season?
Yeah, they are thick volumes. Yeah, volume 1 volume 1 is about 6 issues, and then 2, 3, and 4. I went off. I saw interest in the book, so I was like, instead of making money, I can just make these books actually so fucking long. So I do that.
And you played the long game, and you broke the 50 mark here. So I think that might be. If you got the patience and the time, it's not for everybody, but it's probably not the worst idea either.
It's true. Also, you can get every physical order gets a Destiny New York trading card game promo card featuring our character Trinity. She is the lead of our series Gangster as Barista, and a small percentage of backers will also get the alternate art version, which features Trinity and Anthony from Destiny New York. And that is the entire campaign.
You've got some cards that you also do for your appearances only. I saw you tweeting about you're at a show this weekend, right?
Yes, I have them right here. Actually, I do Destiny or trading card game promo cards for everything that I do. This was our Eternal Con promo card. I'm doing San Diego. I haven't revealed it online yet, but it is also by Joe Picard, who did some cheeky art featuring our character Taylor. She's a San Diegan seer, so that was appropriate for her. And yeah, I have a bunch of these here that are going to be coming out soon.
Cool.
And I'll do a full campaign for a set of cards with booster packs and all that fun stuff in the future. But for now, sticking to the comics.
I have a question. So, how did you find out? About all those artists that you worked with on this?
Bro, my cat is wild. How did I find out about the artists? Some of them are artists that I've had a rapport with for a while. We have a bunch of artists, but I'd say the main artist, just because she did the cover and also has a feature story, is Jensen Anj. And her I met just sending emails. I was a big fan of the art that I've seen, and I'll see artists and I'll approach them And I remember it was Prison Witch Volume 1, which was I think 20, maybe 18 or 19. And I hit Jen up. I was like, hey, we have a concept for you that we think could be a cool cover. And from then it went from cover to more covers to interior artwork. So that's Jen. And other artists I've either found by working with them in work for hire situations. Like I've done work for different publishers where I've met artists and forged a relationship there that we then carried on over into this. And in other situations, I've gotten submissions. You know, there are artists that I've gotten hit up by myself on Facebook, or even I'll do big submission calls and see if people are, you know, open for gigs, and I'll meet that way. But it's such a mix. Even you know, we mentioned the cards for conventions. Conventions too are a great place to find new voices. I'm working with a great artist now who I met at New York Comic Con. She came over to my table and told me that people were not really liking some of her samples. And I looked and I was like, oh, well, they're so dumb, actually. This is, I'll hire you right now. You know, so that happens all the time to me, though, where I'll,
She negged herself and got you to date her.
no,
That is incredible.
yeah, and I'll always Shannon Lee is the editor of Space Between too. She's always looking for new artists and always sending me stuff on social media, finding great artists. So that just endless different ways.
Yeah, I've always found that, you know, just approaching someone, because that's the way Jen did a cover for Crossover Division, was like, I just emailed her and said, hey, I think this is cool. You know, would you be interested? And so many artists, they're people too, and it's just like, hey, if you're interested, great. Let's work something out. If not, no big deal. It's schedules, and maybe it just doesn't work. But it's so much fun to get to work with so many different artists.
Oh yeah, it's great. And just one thing on that tip about artists too. There's, our industry tends to sort of sometimes, we work so hard on these books that we love, and friends of mine and also me personally have felt kind of sensitive when an artist doesn't get back to you. But what I would say is that sometimes an artist gets hit up at all areas and all times by creators. I'd say if you like an artist and you've approached them, I'd say every now and then hit them up. They get constant offers, and I've found that sometimes you just have to hit the right timing.
And if I could bounce off that too, is because we've had to deal with this with a lot of the writers in the anthology who have never had to learn how to approach artists and things like that. And I've also found leading with a lot of compliments helps. And then also pointing out like, hey, this is an idea I have. Let me pitch it to you and see if you're even interested, rather than approaching it from like a, hey, I'm going to pay you some money to do this, and I'm the one in charge kind of attitude. That it does seem to be I think sometimes writers think they're in complete control, especially if they're new, and that's not how it is. It's like we were talking about earlier with it all being collaborative, and you've got to approach this person as, hey, would you even be interested in my idea? If so, would you even have the time to do it right now in your schedule? Like you said, it's all about timing sometimes.
It's true.
And I think a lot of writers need to be a little bit more aware of that.
And I think if you're brand new and really trying to start this and you haven't done much, one thing to do is find an artist and ask them if you can help them bring what they want to bring out into the world. Like, what's a concept that you would want to do? Can I help you by writing some of it? You're probably more likely to get a 5-page short from an artist who always wanted to do something in space.
Yeah.
If you find that out and help them write their story, then if you come to somebody and say, I've got a Western and I want you to write it, and here's your 5 pages.
Whenever I approach an artist, I'm always like, what are your favorite genres to work in? Or are there any certain things you're really interested in drawing right now? And then sometimes that'll like make me think of a whole new story for them and things like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, it is already past midnight and we still have a full project to get to. So, Richard, We're going to get to Stabity Bunny. Do you happen to have your page pulled up?
I do.
All right.
I do.
If you can hit the share button on the bottom.
Yeah.
And
We
as
will
if
get
by
there.
magic.
Yes. So we are we're 4 days in, and we just went up. Look at that. We're 4 days in, and yeah, it's the end of a quite a long journey. I started working on Stabby Bunny, the concepts and some of the story work, which there's a lot. I mean, I wrote. Never do this. I wrote 36 issues ahead of time, which now mostly are completely rewriting because I mean that was a long time ago, and things evolve. But so we've got our we talk about. I want to just kind of we talk about this being the first Scout Kickstarter campaign, and then we've got the
Yeah, absolutely. Can you just make sure you share the page? It's not in the screen for me to pull up.
Oh, okay. All right. I hit share and then it went up, so I thought it was there. Hold on a second. So share screen. Mm-hmm.
And at the very worst, I will share on mine.
Okay. Did that do it or not? Or are we not there yet?
Will, are you seeing it on your side?
I don't see it yet. I don't see it down at the bottom.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
Guess what? We're
Technical
going to do it the old
difficulties.
school way. I'm going to
All right.
share it, and now you've got to follow my crazy ramblings as I go down the page. But
That sounds great. That sounds great.
and there we go. Here we are.
All right.
Guys, we're $5 away. Somebody put in $5. We got to hit 8,000.
Now somebody must have gone down there. Let's refresh that and see if so, then something's happened in the meantime. Here.
Oh,
there we
there
go.
we go.
There we go.
All
There we
right.
go.
Because I had it on the page, so it didn't catch. All right.
Gotcha.
Okay, guys. All we need is $920 to get to 9,000. Somebody put in $920.
Yes. Well, we've been really thrilled because this is like the Scout's first one, and the bunny hasn't been around for a long time. So to fund in our first 4 hours and then just keep going has been fantastic. We're very happy about that. So one of the things that we do have that I want to kind of hit on here with our is we have Pressworks, which are going to come from the actual comic book, the printing plates used to make the comic book. Cool. And yeah, every one of the pages, of course, will have 4, CMYK, you'll have 4 plates for each one. This is an example of Agent of World, but all the Stabity pages and all of the chapter breaks, which will be the covers, etc. People have a chance to actually pick up one of those. We've got if we want to go freeze there for a moment there, we've got the actually keep going because we'll hit the metal and we can see Ralph's cover even better. We got Ralph Singh. We're almost there. If you get to 95, gonna get his, there you go, his metal cover. Ralph Singh, Zinneber, and a ton of other things as well. He did the one extra cover for us. We're doing a commemorative issue of commemorative printing of issue number 1, and we're offering that both in regular cover as well as a metal version. And he's just done a really good job. He's spoiler alert, that's the entity that lives inside the bunny there, showing up a little bit in the back, and Grace and her bunny in the front there. But we've got that. We've got of course, the very core thing is the trades themselves. But there you can see kind of an example of the Pressworks. This is a mock-up of what one of the pages really wouldn't kind of look like, but you get the idea. And we've combined those. Basically, we've kind of got a lot of options combining. We also have 3 tiers for retailers because the actual volume won't be out in comic stores until April of 2023, and this is a way to get it now in September. So we've got a thing that where retailers who don't want to be left out can buy 5, 10, or even a case of books at a really great price. I think it's like $210 for 26 copies for a retailer. Wow. Or anyone who says, I like the retailer tier. So we've got that.
I always put a disclaimer that you have to be a comic shop, and then I don't worry about checking very hard.
Yeah. I mean, and today, you know, with so many people with their with Whatnot or whatever, a lot of people who run retail operations who don't necessarily have a brick and mortar or pay taxes on it, or whatever. But yeah, I think
all creators that come on Explain Yourself pay taxes. I mean, we already had Bill Gates on here tonight. I don't know who is watching.
Yes,
but
absolutely. I mean, even yes, that's one of my major goals is to pay taxes. But we have
you know what? You don't have to until you make a profit. So it is really nice to someday pay taxes on this.
Yeah. If you go down to the stretch goals there, where you show what we've already unlocked.
Yeah.
We've got we unlocked a little 5x7 mini poster we've done that I'll sign of kind of our we go down just a little more, we'll see a little more detail to it of remember Craven the last hunt with Mike Zeck and Bob McLeod, that cover with Spider-Man in his black costume coming up out of the grave. And then we've unlocked one of our stretch goals and unlock. Scout Comics has these great title boxes, which gathers together all the issues, which in this case is 1 through 11 at that point. But also because we don't have an equal backstock, so they do hologram covers, whatever, that only appear in these boxes. I've yet to see one of those boxes without 2 holofoil covers in it, and sometimes there's some other things as well. Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon did the Misfits Clubhouse. That's unlocked for their PDF. That's from Scoot there. And then the next unlock is going to be a variant cover for it's not general knowledge yet, but a variant cover.
Wait. We always say this is an Explain Yourself exclusive.
Yeah, this is a Explain Yourself exclusive. This is going to be on our 4th stretch goal to celebrate if we are fortunate enough to get to 10,000. We're going to give everybody who qualifies for physical stretch goals, we're going to give them a brand new variant cover edition of another one of our books. So it's not even just an unlock. It's here you go. Thank you so much. It's great to reach that benchmark. So we will see how that goes.
Scout book or
no, this is going to be in particular. It's already done.
Okay.
It is it's going to be another cover of Emmett's story that I did.
Got it.
Which is like issue, kind of like calls into issue 10 and a half of the bunny, and it deals with two men who have been a couple for over 20 years, and it opens up with one of them being assaulted and kind of dealing with that, and then Stabbity's world where magic is real. Just say that a deal with the devil can be all too real, and it's a story that on all of the characters, I have so much background on them, and there's so much going on everywhere else. When they appear for a moment here, every other character is doing something. We could do spin-off series on everybody, but this was just something that was near and dear to me personally. And in fact, Emmett looks just like this. Yeah, we did that story told from that character's point of view, which meshes into the overall run of the series, because basically it would seem that the bunny and Grace and their family and the struggles are running into the 7 deadly sins manifested within people, and Emmett is unfortunate enough to want to take the power that's offered by taking on wrath. So it's a great story. It stands alone, but it's going to have an alternate cover that will be giving away if we reach that 10,000 mark.
Oh, I think you're definitely going to do it. That's great. How long do you have left on this one? I know you just launched very recently.
Yeah, we just launched. We have now that it's after midnight, 25 days.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you're going to get that variant if you back it, guys. So I mean, let's do it.
Did you say you wrote 36 issues, like up front?
Yes.
So this just is a story you had to get out. Like, it was just like, I've got to get it out.
We try to
Dedication.
be positive. We don't just like whip people for the dumbest mistakes they've ever made here. We don't just humiliate other writers for doing the dumbest thing.
No,
they
I
could possibly
like
do.
it. No, it's full on admiration, because clearly it was a story that was fully formed that you had, or not maybe fully formed, but it had to get out of your head.
No,
I
being
was
very
it was
nice
coming
here.
from admiration.
You're
That's
being
all.
very nice here, Richard. Would you advise any other writer to do this?
Never.
Okay,
I
just wanted
would,
that out.
I would write a few issues. I would have your outlines. I would certainly still now plan 36 issues,
Yeah.
and I would have them fairly tightly, know what's going on, plot them, and go on. But I would never write it, because your writing style will change, your experiences will change, what you bring to the story will change, and it is a lot of work to just not scrap, but extensively rewrite.
Yeah, I was definitely not going to follow in your footsteps, but I admire it nonetheless.
I know Charlie has said that on that guy, Charlie Stickney, has said
Yeah.
on Gargash, it can be a 20 issue thing, or 56 or 70. And we know with a Charlie issue could be 40 pages to 60 pages.
yeah.
So,
True.
it doesn't at all hurt to have avenues to keep going. I think that's great. But the actual nuts and bolts of a script, I would definitely get that first issue and maybe that first arc, and then just be a little looser.
Well, and that's so much can happen. I mean, we talk about outlining, and how strict are you on your outlines or things like that. But there's a lot of magic that happens when you're doing a page, and things will just click. I mean, that's at least that's what I shoot for. I don't know how often that happens, but when it does happen, I really, really like it.
Mhm.
And it's 36 issues. I salute you, sir.
No, it's actually great. It's just not, it's great to do if that's what you want to do. It's just a lot of work in case you get in, and it's a really great story for a couple people. I don't want to downplay it. I just don't think it's great advice to do. That's all. We want to make sure that if somebody's here as a first time creator, they get, because like my dumbass made a 42 issue outline for Tart, because
20
I was like,
for
well,
crossover division, man.
do 12 a year. We'll be done in 4 years. It'll be great. And we're not doing 12 issues a year.
Hey,
Richard, I think
Richard,
you're
buddy,
still
you're
on
muted.
Mute. You're still on mute, Richard.
I was going to say, to share a little bit more, thank you, about my psychoses, is that I see in even as far back as elementary school, they would allow me to write a comic book version, and then I was a child, and I thought I could draw too, so I would do a comic book or write as a comic book story. Along with that, and forever running with that, I would write comic book stories, script treatments, etc., all the way through middle school, high school, college, etc. But I would put them away, and some of them are written on back of pizza boxes or on napkins, notes, etc. But I put them in a box and put it away, and I never pursued creating them, or until and not because I turned 49, but it just was coincidentally. It's like I thought. Actually, to be honest with you, we spoke of Wayne Hall. Well, Wayne Hall moved in with me, and he's super comics guy. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh, you've got comics." I'm like, "Yeah, here's one of them, etc." So I chose to try to pursue bringing Stabby Bunny to life, and approached Dwayne Biddix, who was so nice, and like you're talking about approaching artists. I had approached a few people, and it's like, "Oh, I'm going to make a comic," and I had no experience, nothing, and it was just like, of course they're like, Yeah, well, thanks. I've got other things to do here. On Dwayne, I stalked him online for a while, and I saw his art, and he was a great guy, and you kind of relate to people that way.
Mhm.
And I approached him after I genuinely felt that we had some communication or a connection going on. So I sent him the script, and um, this when I sent the script, I'm like, I'm waiting. He's gonna get back to me tomorrow. He's gonna get back to me tomorrow. What's he gonna say? And he was just like, dude, I love it. Let's do this. So the rest is history and a vast investment. But
But that's great though. Like you said, you didn't do it till you were 49, but you've effing done it. Like you've done it. Like it doesn't matter when you start.
mhm.
If you have the right story and the right artist, it's always really important. Like it doesn't matter. You can start at 49, you can start at 14. And either way, you're starting, and that's awesome.
Well, to go along with that story, Scout signed Seda Wolf, or rather her mom, because Seda Wolf was only 15.
Mhm.
She's writer, artist, colorist, letterer, everythinger. And I mean, now she's very old. She's 18. But yeah, we have some really young creators, and Seda had a vision, and her mom got right behind her, and yeah, they're just a wonderful family. I'll be in San Diego as well, and look forward to that. Sadie will be there, so stop by the Scout booth, say hello. End of plug.
No. You can plug the Scout booth all you want. Ask them for the Tart trade paperbacks, and tell them if you don't see it, that it better be there next year. Here's the deal: the paper shortage messed it up. It's not anybody's fault. It's a paper shortage, but give them shit anyway.
Well, you brought up pizza boxes. I'm kind of curious, just from a writing standpoint, what do you guys use to write with?
I swear to God, I thought you were gonna ask them what pizza you liked.
This is very important for the writing process. So,
I mean, I still use Microsoft Word. I mean, once I have this first draft done in Word, I convert it to a Google Doc so that we can collaborate on it with my editor and the artist and everything. But Word is something that I have used literally forever. So I'm just curious about what everybody else uses.
Same. Microsoft Word.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bill Gates in the chat said purchase Microsoft.
of course he would.
I use Word as well because I was looking up various format sheets, kind of, and Aubrey might know this one off the top of her head because I call her Oracle all the time because she knows everything. But there's someone who made a famous like template you can follow where it's super easy to just tab over and it creates new headers for you and everything for a comic book script. And I'm blanking on it now. I want to say it's Jim Zub, but I don't think it is. And so I use Word because I like to use that. And then I'll change it to a PDF and to share with people, and they can comment on it that way. We collaborating.
Not to make Bill mad at me, but I've moved to Google Docs when I was Scout introduced me to Andrea to have a second editor.
Kevin,
yes.
you must say it correctly. Andrea Lorenzo Molinari.
That is true. But I'm not the grammar guy. That's why they gave me two editors, I think. And so I would get like Cassie's things and I would make her changes. And then I'd get Andrea's things. And sometimes they would disagree on grammar. And I was like, I am so sick of these two people telling me alternate editing on grammar. So now we just do Google Docs so that they can at least see what the other one is saying. They're both great on story. I love them both. But on the grammar, I don't know who's right. So I'm going to make them fight. So sorry, Bill, Google Docs for me on scripts now.
Yeah, I'm a Google Docker also. Just
nice.
That's just what I use. It's easy for people to hop on and collab, or if I just want to share something really easy, if I would just want people to make comments on the margins or to take some editing control and change stuff around. Google Docs is really versatile. So it's my go-to.
Aubrey says that she believes it's Fred Van Lint. that made the script template.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's definitely who it was. Yeah, I knew she would know. I'm proud of her for still being up and watching right now. But I was going to ask y'all, because y'all are clearly more experienced here than I am. If it's okay for me to throw a question out to
Please,
everybody?
yeah.
Is that okay? I'm coming in late as well. I'm a little over 40 now, and I became disabled at about 24. And so for like 10 to 15 years, like a good 6 or 7 years, I couldn't even get out of bed. And now I'm starting to find functionality again, thanks to medicines and stuff. But so I thought for years, well, just be happy that you get a little side job, Chris, and you're able to make a little, extra money. You're disabled, just deal with it. That's your life now. And now I'm like, no, well, fuck that. I'm gonna like try to pursue. Oh, sorry. So, well, it's after midnight.
It's
okay.
way after midnight. You're fine.
And so I was like, let's start like pursuing a passion that you wanted to pursue since you were, 14 years old. And so my question to all y'all is, I've dipped my toes into the water the last since January or so, and was lucky to get a couple of anthology acceptances, like little scripts, like 5-6 pages. And then one of those, thankfully, is going to get turned into a graphic novella that's like 30-40 pages. But it sounds like some of y'all are going full steam at like posting issue 1 on Kickstarter or a crowdfunder or whatever. One, how do you have the balls to like put something that's a serial like that out, and if it gets funded, but you're not sure the next one's going to get funded, and then does that mean that you put an incomplete story out into the world? Like, I'm curious how, if any of that is affected thinking long format versus short format about like I don't know. Does that question even make sense? Like,
Yeah,
I think it's a good
Makes sense.
question.
Yeah. And I would add to your question, because this is my first time that I'm doing like a mini series through like a crowdfunding platform. So I'm also curious to know your answers, honestly.
Well, I would say that if I had any knowledge of the difficulties and time involved in this, I would have not started with a long form series with a 42 issue outline. I would have started with a one shot or a 3-issue mini that could be expanded later, or better, a 5-page story in an anthology. So I would say you're exactly where I wish I would have started. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But I would say that Kickstarter or crowdfunding in general is a wonderful way to find out if you have an idea that works for more than just you. And if you do one issue and you get enough to fund it, and you do the second issue and you don't, that's a good idea that maybe you could double down on it, or you could try your other idea and come back to it later.
Well, and I have to say, I mean, in my mind, Kevin and Pat and Mike, Miskatonic High, they've really been doing the serialization on Kickstarter, which proved to me that they did it. They're doing it. Maybe I can do it too.
Yeah.
And so I hedge my bets a little bit, so that I do 4-issue arcs. But the whole series is planned to be 20, so that's just 5 4-issue arcs. And so far, I've been really lucky in that I've been growing from issue to issue, and that's extraordinarily gratifying. I think it's because I've picked really great alternate cover artists, but it's part of it is, I think a really healthy book on Kickstarter is around, I think Kevin and I have talked about this, around, if you get 300 backers, that's something that's sustainable. That's something that means that, yes, I've probably made enough money for this issue, maybe a little bit more towards the next issue, and I can keep going. And Kevin jokes, yeah, we're going to do 12 issues a year. I think I've done 2 in 1 year, and I'm like, oh, how the hell do you do this? I mean, Pat's putting out like 1,000 books a year, man. I mean,
I wish.
No, 1,000 pages. It's $10.
Yeah, I mean, I echo all of what you guys say. You know, I'll add too that I think that Kickstarter and crowdfunding in general is the best place to do serialized books. It's so much better and so much more reliable than the direct market for serialization because you are in control of the way the audience receives the book a lot more. With the comic shop, I mean, first of all, you have all these publishers who are so scared to do any IP that has more than 4 issues. You know, if you pitch more than a 4-issue series to a publisher, you're kind of crazy, and I'm crazy. But it's not a healthy market for long-running series in the direct market. I mean, even Marvel and DC, even Image, you see. Once the norm for creator-owned books was, you know, you'd have Brian K. Vaughan doing 50 issues of all his books. And now, how often do you see a new 40, 50 issue creator-owned series cropping up? It's not what we do anymore in the direct market. But in Kickstarter, say you do a number 1, it does okay. Say you do number 2, and it doesn't grow. That doesn't mean that the series is done. It means that you have to rethink how you market it too. And it's so much more in your hands because in the comic shop, what it is one person leafing through previews and deciding if they want issues 1 through 3 before 1 even comes out. On Kickstarter and other crowdfunding platforms, the people that you're selling the book to will already have received and hopefully read the book before number 2 launches, right? So if you don't grow with a number 2, you realize that you didn't really satisfy with number 1 how you wanted, and you can rethink certain things and you can think how to target new audiences. For example, Prison Witch was a series that we did 3 volumes for, and the first volume did what I would say was well. The goal was 8, and we hit 16. Really nice. Volume 2, the goal was 8, and we hit 12. Now, that to me was not as good. It was a sign that Prison Witch shouldn't be ongoing and that we kind of marketed to the wrong way. Maybe you had the wrong covers, maybe you had the wrong rewards. So with 3, I was like, all right, well, now we'll see how it feels when we say this is the end. This is the final volume. And we did, and they hit 29. So that showed that it wasn't that people thought Prison Witch wasn't good. It's that I marketed it in a way that wasn't impactful for volume 2, and I fixed that with volume 3. So you're in so much more control, and I think that power, that sense of empowerment over the direction of how your title progresses will hopefully give you strength as you go along and see how much power you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And delivering on these anthologies that you're working on now, CK, you have control over the cloakroom. If you put a book in, like our buddy John Eddingfield is doing one of his Fractured Fairy Tale things. So if you happen to be in that, then it's up to John for your story to get out. But having multiple stories out that people start, that's CK. I liked his story. I liked Cloakroom. Didn't he? Oh, wait, he's coming out with an issue 1. If you've delivered, and when I say deliver, I mean the story and literally the book being delivered. You've got a good launching pad there, and yeah, build it issue by issue if you want to. But I would definitely steer towards Prison Witch volume 1, 2, 3, and then if they love it, maybe Prison Witch gets arrested again.
Well, it could be Prison Witch and Friends volume 1.
Yes.
And that's true too. That's a trick that Marvel does, the Image does now. They'll rebrand, and that's great. If for some reason, Destiny New York has had volumes that have done a bit less than the previous one, and then the last one almost doubled the previous one. But say volume 6 crashes, volume 7 could turn into Destiny New York subtitle this, or even a totally different title. You are 100% in control.
Well, and speaking of that, I mean, because I had originally started with Crossover Division. Pablo and I had done an 8-page story, which was going to be our, publisher pitch. And then this pandemic thing happened, and distributors
First
shut
I heard
down,
of it.
and publishers shut down, and everybody shut down except Kickstarter.
Oh, it's true.
And I was
Mhm.
like, well, it would be, validating in so many ways to, have a publisher be in previews and be in comic shops, but I want to get the story out there.
Mhm.
So Kickstarter was there, and it was really kind of, it was not only, that power we have, but it was also just empowering that, I can get this story out there because with the help of, a giant team of artists and lots of friends.
No, it's exciting to see you starting on this journey, both AJ and CK. It's exciting to see you on the journey, and like learn from every mistake you can hear. The great thing about indie comics is I don't think very many of us are shy about telling you the dumb shit we've done.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And if you can miss a landmine because we stepped on one, I'm always there to stop somebody from stepping on a landmine if I can possibly help it.
Yeah.
One thing, starting out with a 42 issue outline, we're now down to about 26, but that's as much as I could shrink it when you start out at 42.
Trust me, when the publisher, because what happened is I submitted to a horror anthology, like a 10-pager, and they came back and said, "Hey, we want you to turn this into a 40-pager." And at that time, I was like, "Oh no, sweet Lord Jesus! Like I'm not ready for that." But the more I thought about it, and I started to see the plot, and they're a really great company. They really encourage representation, and so I really support their causes and stuff. I can't announce anything yet, of course, because
Right.
it's a contract.
I see a
But-
puppy. I have to know the puppy's name.
That one's Mindy, and then you probably keep seeing Bandit. He paces around that door, and that's when I have to keep turning the camera off because he paws at it and he sticks his head out and then comes right back in. But yeah, so even a 40-page issue scared me. So definitely I'm not looking at a 40-issue arc yet. I'm definitely not ready for that.
Well, one of the things that I feel like has helped me a lot is actually hiring an editor, for my work, because I suck at editing myself. I know I do. Hey, what's on the page? It's what I thought I put there, not what's actually there. So
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Aubrey is actually the main editor I use. And
Nice.
people were like, "How do you keep getting into these anthologies? What am I doing wrong?" And I'm like, "Did you hire an editor?" And they were like, "No." And I'm like, "That's what you're doing wrong. Like, hire an editor."
Yeah, I found out. So also another project that I'm working on is a graphic novel trilogy with IDW, and the first time working with an editor I actually was while doing this. Well, I'm still working with those editors, and it was such an incredible journey, seeing from the first draft of the script until what it got there in the final draft, where everything changed so much, but all for the better, and it made it such a stronger story that I would never even think of a way to even make it even close to that without an editor. So I definitely learned the importance of an editor there, and I still do every day. I thank them for being out there,
Yep, another set of eyeballs on your work is just great. It
It's
really,
important.
really is.
And to that one, I have a male editor and a female editor. It's really nice to have two sets of eyes bringing their own life experiences, so that if I trip over myself on one thing, they can kind of catch me and pull me back, and then all of a sudden I haven't tripped over myself in front of 300 Kickstarter backers, because of an editor saying, "You might want to relook at that."
Mhm.
Well, it's kind of like a couple of people have said. Did you you know what you wanted to be put on the page, so you see it there.
Mhm.
Do other people see that? You
Right.
know, and it makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah, you read what is supposed to be there, not what is there.
Yep.
It's insane.
Mhm.
And I love what you said, Kevin, about it's a good idea to have an editor that maybe doesn't have the same life experiences as you, because I think that's why Aubrey is such a great fit for me, is because she's non-binary, but she's been socialized female, and everybody sees her as a woman, and so she brings on a totally different perspective than I do. And like if I was exploring stories that featured people from other communities outside of my own lived experience, I think it's very important for a lot of writers out there to understand you probably want to get someone from that community as your editor to be like, no, dude, like this is not the way you want to go. It's just
Mhm.
you're incapable of seeing it from those eyes.
Yeah. And I believe Aubrey sending cookies is never a bad thing either. She had mentioned that earlier. I'm really glad you gave me a reason to bring that back up.
Yeah, and it's been my experience co-writing with Leslie. Like sometimes we would have the outline, and then Leslie basically wrote the script, and I served as the editor, sort of. And the dialogue and the stuff that he came up with, like I would never even thought of those dialogue pieces that I really really liked. So yeah, either hire an editor or just co-write a comic.
Because you're really getting
yeah.
an editor that way.
Yep.
Well, we had Joe Mulvey and Rich Duick of Happy Hill, and it just started that Joe was writing and drawing this horror book, and he called his buddy, Rich, who is an amazing writer, and he said he just gave him so many suggestions that made the story better, better, and better. That Joe said, "Can you please co-write this with me? And I don't want you to be the editor anymore. I want you to write it with me." So yeah, that your editor can grow into larger things. Listen, man. If I keel over tomorrow, Richard, you're the new publisher. You tell Cassie and Andrea they got to write the rest of this damn outline. And if they have to write it, 42 issues.
Okay. Back up from the 26, huh?
Go to 72, man. 72.
Hey, man, I'm dead. It's not my problem. The 42 issues are what I thought were going to kill me anyway. So if I'm gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like we have a comment from Joey Galvez down here. There we go.
He says, I have a couple of people who offered to look at a story of mine. How would you go about making a decision between which editors to go with? Oh, who wants to take this one? I have some ideas, but they're really not formed.
I mean,
Go ahead, Pat.
oh yeah, I mean, just very brief. A tip is that if you like a book, there's a chance that the editor is good. Just maybe look and see which books you like and look at the editors' names. Go on social media, see if they're so crazy, and if they're not, then maybe you can hire them.
Yeah.
Or there's a bunch of different ways, and some of that's going to conventions too, and meeting people and just catching vibes and seeing how people interact with you and seeing if you have a similar idea of stories that could help you, that can help facilitate you while also catch what you're doing that is not going to be good.
Yeah. I the thought that was going through my head is I would want to, in my discussions with them, see that they saw what the goal was, what I was going for. I will keep this editor's name out, but like sometimes you show some things to people who are way up the thing, and he flipped through the first issue of Tart, and he gave me the time that an editor has at a convention.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, so it's a hot girl. Okay, I got it." Well, I would never have hired that person because Tart has a hot girl, and that is not the end all or be all or what we're even trying to do. So I would definitely make sure that the editor sees what the goal is and is passionate about the goal. I really want my collaborators to be passionate and want the thing to be great. So look for people who see the goal and want to get you there.
Yeah, I would also say, I mean, if you know other writers, I would ask them what editors they use. I mean, that's how I found the editor for a graphic novel pitch I did, and I really loved the work and the feedback that they gave me on their book, because I loved a book that they edited that was crowdfunded and now is being put out through a publisher. But I would definitely say, just reach out to any peers that you might have and see who they use, who they like is also a way to go about it.
Yeah, I'm on Nicole DeAndrea's newsletter, and she sent one time, and not only does she write a really, really good book, she edits Sacrifice, she edits like three of the books that I really liked over the last year were all edited by the same person, kind of as echoing what Pat said. If I liked all three books she edited, she's probably an editor that shares thoughts that I like. So
yeah, like
Well,
I've read comics since I was 10, and I didn't start paying attention to editors' names, sadly, until this last year, when I was like, oh, a good way to find editors is to see if you like the same types of stories. And now it's like, oh my God, I keep seeing that editor's name over and over again. So yeah, that's definitely a good way. I'm sorry, I interrupted someone.
Oh, that's okay. And indie comics, we're not a large community. We all, there's what, 1 or 2 degrees of separation between pretty much the indie comics community. We know someone who knows someone pretty much. So just ask around, and see who's. I think there's probably like a Facebook group for comics editors or something, or I know there's Twitter and Discord and all those things out there. So I've always found that the best editors don't say change it to this. They say, why is this happening?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Best
Ask
editors
questions
ask
and not
questions.
prescribe
Yep,
things. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And I'd also add too, everyone has different temperaments, but I think that the more that you have an editor that, because so much of it is feeling things out and going through different experiences and seeing which ones work and which ones don't. I find the thicker skin that you have and the more brutally honest your editor is, the better work you're going to get out of it. My editor on Space Between Titles, Shannon Lee, she goes over both my script and the art that comes in. And I always, I'm the one that takes her notes and my notes and combines them. I have what I call a softening pass. I'll go through all our notes and I'll make them really nice and concise so the artist can look at them and understand. But I need someone on board who I can send a page that I'm unsure about. And if her reaction is, oh my God, I know that I'm right, the page has to be changed. So that kind of honesty is very, very helpful, I find.
No, and honesty and collaboration is really important, and it is a delicate dance to figure out because all of us are artists. Some of us are sensitive artists.
Yeah.
Some of us are extra sensitive artists, and
Feeling called out, Kevin.
Yes, and very few of us are paid enough to choke down the things that hurt us. Like if Mr. Spielberg wants to give me $1 million check, he can tell me how bad everything I've ever done in my life is. I'll figure out how to become less sensitive. So you need to find the dance, and that's that's probably the whiskey coming in. But
that's definitely something I've experienced with the anthology, though, is when you're editing 24, 25 scripts. And people will be like, oh, hey, will you please go read this story? And I'd love your feedback. And then you give them feedback and that you spent 2 hours going through analyzing why this happened with that. and they basically, their response is like, how dare you, like, who do you think you are? And it's like, really, dude, like, so you really just wanted me to stroke your ego, like what? So it's like my story, which I'll happily share with any of you. You know, you're also creative and experienced, and I'd love your feedback on the 6-page of it. It's all about you know, this love and loss, and how they hold on to this jacket that has the smell of them on it, so that they can remember all the good times, but also how that pains them because they are forced to relive the bad moments too. And I sent it out to the Discord, to Scott's Discord, the 1,000 eyes on it, which scared me. And 10 or 12 people were like, "Oh, it's great," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's nice, but what would make it better? Like, that's why I'm giving it to you. What'll make it better?" And they're like, "Don't change your thing." And I'm like, "No, please, for the love of God, tell me something changes, because otherwise, I just think you're stroking my ego. Like, tell me to fix something." Because I saw AJ nodding his head furiously when they're like extra sensitive souls, and AJ was just like, "Yeah." Mhm. But
Well,
I'm
listen.
more of the slash and burn it, so to make it better type, and so that's what draws me to certain editors too.
I haven't had a chance to read it, but I have 3 words, and it's the next stretch goal, and it's going to make your book the best book ever written. Scratch and sniff.
Genius.
Why didn't we think of that? That's
Seriously.
perfect.
You got a week. Come on, man. You got 6 days to
Research the technology.
Our
But,
next
you know-
stretch goal is $98,000.
You guys are right. I mean, it's hard, but really trying to take your ego out of it, because your ego's not going to make the story better, and that's why we're there. You know, it's going to hurt sometimes, but making the story better is the point. And if that's a little pain, you know, I feel like that's worth it, but it's hard sometimes.
And if a suggestion hurts, put it down for a day,
Yeah.
and then come
yeah.
back to it.
Mhm.
If your first reaction is to be hurt by it, put it down and let it get that distance away, because the critique is on the page, not on you. But as an artist or creator, it's sometimes hard to hear that. And you know, I've taken advice and really changed with it, and I've gotten suggestions and been like, no, they don't get what we're going for,
Right.
and I'm not going to take that. That is not right for this book and what our long-term goals are. And I usually explain that to the person, so it's not just no. but there's often times where the next day when I reread it, that suggestion sure seems smarter than the second I wrote it or read it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I got great news, guys.
We have Facebook spam. Yes.
Yeah.
TextFix Media Transcription Services here to take your business to the next level, dear. You might like to know how transcription helps you in business. The internet has the power to spread the word for your business all across the world, and it helps the world that your business all across the world. And it helps it. I don't even know.
Nice.
Thank you, spammer. You know what? Bill Gates.
Look at
he
that
was
bunny.
like,
I like that bunny, Richard.
Oh, that's-
Wait, because we're doing visuals here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Savvy Bunny
Oh,
coffee.
yeah.
Oh,
The
man.
coffee. The
Merchandising expert right
bunny.
there.
Yeah.
my next trip over, I'm
Merchandise.
going to have to meet up with the coffee people and be like, hi, I have a bunch of characters with fruit names.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we want to try to. We want to get them to do some hot chocolate so that we can have some of the Scoot titles or something,
Yeah.
you know, too. Yeah.
Well, Tarmux, we just had on last week. Onishi Press, they've got a coffee, and then they do have a hot chocolate, and I thought that was brilliant. So it's a smart way to hit 2 audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what, gentlemen, or everybody on our list, we could be here all night, and I probably would, but I know that you only signed up for about an hour, and we're going on an hour and 50 minutes. So does anybody have a question they wanted to ask before Will and I talk about some of, like, Tarmux, the campaigns that have already been on the show?
have a question. I just want to be sure because I did not take a note. I was enjoying myself so much here. What was you AJ, etc. You guys are on what is the new
It's
platform?
crowdfunder without an E.
Crowdfunder.
So yeah.
I'll put up the banner for you
Okay.
Thanks.
if I can find it.
There it
Yes.
is. Yep.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
And it
Mhm.
just took 2 minutes. About
Oh.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Start your stopwatch.
It might have been 3, but I'm saying 2.
2 sounds nice.
No, well, thank you everybody. We really appreciate it. You can hang with us as Will and I do this.
Kevin, do we want to do one more run through of the elevator pitch before we sign off for the night?
Absolutely. Will, you handle the round robin. I'm gonna get one more shot for the.
All right. So AJ.
Yeah, let's do it.
Or Leslie, who wants to do the pitch?
Leslie, do you want to do it or
Sure.
should I?
But Head Cases is Pulp Fiction meets Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It is 2 kids in way over their head after they steal a bag that has a decapitated head in it. Check it out. It's on crowdfunder. You can find it at headcasescomic.com.
Nice.
2
CK.
weeks left.
Oh, that's so succinct. So Scott Snyder presents Tales from the Cloakroom on Kickstarter. We have about 7 days left now. And it is a range of genres, but mainly horror, sci-fi, and slice of life from 20 creators, emerging artists. Very exciting. And so please go back us.
Nice. Richard.
Stabity Bunny is Supernatural meets Taken, where a little girl has just inherited the plush bunny, and supernatural force that has been hounding her family for generations. It's the final confrontation with that. It's the resolution of that battle, and I must be really tired.
Well,
Hey, you know what? You left it all on the field, Richard. I appreciate that.
And now I think it's time to get a little cheeky with Pat.
All right.
Yes, Cheeky is 4 not safe for work comics that overlap in exciting, fun, and humorous ways. We're on Kickstarter now, tinyurl.com/cheeky. And I have to say today, rest in peace, Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts, the man.
So I actually got to meet him. I used to serve at the Cabanas at Hard Rock down here in Hollywood. And when The Sopranos ended, they hosted like the ending, and most of the cast was down here, and so they were like, "Hey, like you're going to do the Cabanas, and Gandolfini's coming down," and Gandolfini didn't come down, but Tony did. About 5 of the guys from the show, and he was everything you would want Paulie Walnuts to be in real life, but nice, fun, and cool. Like he was the exact same, but also like an extraordinarily nice guy. I knew him one day. I'm not saying I knew the guy.
No, that's great. That's great.
But
man.
he was like, he was just exactly what I would have hoped meeting Paulie Walnuts I would get.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. I didn't think about that. And yeah. So, all right, gentle people, you may get the hell out of here and eat and sleep, or you can hang with us as we talk about other campaigns.
And go off the rails.
Yeah. And we're going to do this for you guys as long as you are live. So we'll get to mess up your campaigns at about 12:54 next week.
I really appreciate this, everyone. It was a good time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Great hanging out
Great
with
to speak to
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Good
Aubrey,
night.
thank you. The next time you have a book, please let us know. We'll get you on to talk about it. So thank you, Aubrey, for your thoughts in the chat as well.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right.
Good night.
All right.
So it's just you and me, Will.
All right.
Can we do it?
Let's do it.
Do it.
Let's see. Let me reload my current page here. I'm backing so
I
many
found
things.
one. Territory, Kaijus as Gods. About, I don't remember how many years in the future, hundreds, thousands, but for some reason, the writer thinks that humans have screwed up and destroyed the earth, and that could never happen. We would never be bad stewards to our planet. And luckily, in the future, kaijus exist and basically repopulate the earth and are worshipped as gods. So it's kaijus as gods, and kind of a cool fantasy about how the world might be 5 centuries or so in the future.
How about Project Hype? Project Big Hype.
Big Hype.
Yeah.
How about it?
Volume 2.
Doug Wood was on, and his idea was to have an anthology for a lot of creators who hadn't done anything yet that could get their projects out. I think it was 385 pages of story, some 6 pages, some 20. You just black and white manga-ish, but it's just a great way to get a bunch of new stories from new creators and find the next people that we're going to need to have on Explain Yourself.
Tarmux, we mentioned it during the show.
Oh yeah,
Cthulhu corporate coffee and comic.
I love that they're doing the Tarantino thing where like the Big Kahuna Burger gets its own comic book in this. Like the Tarmux is in other comics that they do, and this is like how the brand became something. So it's really cool, but also huge. And I should say Blake with Territory is doing this as well. Every single person who backs Tarmux and Territory, there's going to be a tree planted to try to stop destroying the world for the kaiju to fix.
Let's see. We have not. Let's see. That one. Oh, By Visibility. Our friends Kat and Phil have the By Visibility Still By anthology, which is the 2nd volume of it. Which
I believe they say it is buyer than ever.
By. But it is in much the same vein as the first one. It's a great book and a great look at bisexuality as it exists, and for everyone in the community.
Mm-hmm. Another friend of the show and us personally, Curiouser, Last Ember Press. This is a very cool kind of sequel to Alice in Wonderland. Alice's son is brought back down into Wonderland. Some of the characters are gender bent. It's just a great trippy little comic. And
I thought that one ended last week, didn't it?
Hey, well, if you missed it, then that's your problem. You should have been watching last week.
Go to the pre-order store.
So I think maybe, that has closed, but it was still there. We had done such a good job trying to call these. So. I hope you backed it, because if you backed it, Crossover Division and Tart, you can get 2 free prints. So I hope you backed it.
Me too.
Never mind. Get us back on track, Will.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, I know one.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Why don't you take this one?
Well, there's this guy who writes this comic called Crossover Division, and we are ending. I think we're about 10 days in. We just hit our 5th stretch goal, which is adding pages to the book. We now have every variant cover and the standard cover as pinups in the book. So no matter what cover you get, you're going to get to see all the covers, which I think is pretty cool.
And they're gorgeous.
And I think we're working right now on potentially selling maybe one of those covers as a reward tier. I'm talking to the artist, and I'm going to keep it very mysterious.
Oh, the original cover as a possibility.
Yeah, which is pretty cool, I think.
That
but
is awesome.
It's doing amazing. This is the best launch I've had, and I am. Thanks, Joey. I am amazed at how well it's doing. It's just been an awesome launch, and I'm still going for 20 more days. So
Absolutely.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is. All our buddy Travis Gibb, we had an entire show canceled, so we kind of missed a couple projects we really wanted to talk about. One of which was Voodoo Nations 1 through 3. Travis Gibb and his Orange Cone Productions. They always deliver. They always make the comics that care. So if you have a chance to check out Voodoo Nations, that would be awesome. We actually have one in the chat. Next week, we should be talking to Pocus Hocus, which so far I know nothing about, but we're going to learn a lot about it by next year. And if you want to check out the bit.ly link, it's bit.ly/Pocus Hocus 4. We're going to learn a lot more next week, but you don't have to wait that long to check it out. We are also probably going to be talking to David Byrne about Jessamy #3, and that comes out of his vampire. That's a prequel to his vampire series Stake that kicks ass on Kickstarter and at comic shops from Scout. So I'm excited. Do we have any others?
Just a shout out, Miskatonic High. It successfully funded issue 15.
Yeah.
We joke a lot, but you guys prove that you can serialize on Kickstarter, and that makes me so happy because I can not steal what you do. I can model successful behavior, and also perhaps reach that issue one day.
We haven't said what we did, and we this can't be an explain yourself exclusive just yet, but it'll be one of the first places we talk about it. Mike and I worked really diligently early on in the TART campaign to create a crossover like neither of us have seen on Kickstarter yet. No. But I do want to say Mike is a MFing beast. When it comes out, I really will take a lot of credit for being part of the writer's room that created the concept. But the nuts and bolts, Mike really, he is a tireless beast of a worker. So there is a reason that Miskatonic High has hit 15 and is going to keep going. And I am just proud of them and in awe of the work that they do. And it's definitely something that is worth checking out. If you missed it, you can go to your local comic shop and just say, I want that Miskatonic High. I think they've got like 3 issues already printed in your comic shop. So
nice.
Yeah.
We had Frank Malady, his one-shot funded, which is
curious or funded. It's no longer. So if anybody tells you to back it, they're wrong. But they did a great job.
The Dark Side of Purity just finished up a really amazing book. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
And they're looking to even just as a surprise add a 3rd zine possibly. So
wow!
If you back that, you may actually get more than you asked more than you bargained for.
And then we had the group from the Golem of Venice Beach on.
I really hope they can make it. They've got some up and coming artists on that. Bill Sienkiewicz, your brother, Mike Allred. Some guy named Jay Lee. So I hope they can. Those artists can make something of themselves. I think they have promise. I'm going to say it. I think they have promise.
I think they could. Yeah, they certainly might make some waves.
All right. I think, did we do it?
I think we did. Oh, and thank you, Shawnee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Always.
And Joey.
Shawnee, Joey, Blake, Aubrey, who I've just met tonight. Facebook user, which was obviously Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Facebook user, which was obviously some media transcription thing. That's
exactly.
Huge scammer. I'm going to have to hide that comment when I get off there. I love that. After the show, I'm going to cancel it. During the show, I read it. It felt right. I don't know.
You went for it, man.
I went for it.
Commit to the bit. Commit to the bit.
There you go. All right. Everybody who popped in, I want to tell you when the show started, I wasn't feeling the greatest. I feel awesome right now. So everybody who commented and was part, you made it a good night for me. So thank you. Oh, Shawnee, it's always
Thanks,
fun
Shawnee.
whenever you're around. So we really do appreciate it. And that's not lip service. We really, like, people in the comments bring something to the show that Will and I can't bring. So thank you so much for being part of it. Every Friday that you can, and some Fridays you gotta do other stuff. We get that. So everybody, good night. And
Good night, everyone.
if you listen to this on the podcast, when you're done, rate it 5 stars and then review it. Honestly, you can tell us we suck, but rate it 5 stars because that's all we care about. Good night, everybody.
Good night.